Elon Musk, the man behind revolutionary ideas like Tesla and SpaceX, left Tesla's headquarters in Fremont, California, late one evening. The clock had just passed 10 p.m., and the area was eerily quiet. A meeting about technical roadmaps and sustainable energy had gone on longer than expected, leaving him exhausted. His Tesla Model S glided through the deserted streets, the dim yellow glow of streetlights reflecting off the car's sleek, black windows, creating a scene that was both modern and serene. A loud growl from Elon's stomach suddenly broke the silence, reminding him that he had only managed to grab a few bites of a sandwich earlier in the day. Although he often joked about working more hours than there are in a day, this pang of hunger was impossible to ignore. Not wanting to return home like this, he decided to look for a place to eat. His attention was caught by a red lantern swaying gently in the wind, hanging outside a small restaurant with a handwritten sign, Hoshizora Sushi. Unlike the closed shops around it, the warm light spilling from the restaurant's windows felt like an invitation. After a brief hesitation, he turned the steering wheel and parked his Model S quietly in front of the restaurant. As he pushed open the wooden door, Elon was greeted by a blend of aromas that surprised and delighted him. The smell of fresh fish, rich soy sauce, and the refreshing hint of shiso leaves filled the air, making the space feel cozy and inviting. The small restaurant had a few neatly arranged wooden tables and a long sushi counter where an elderly man was intently preparing dishes. Dressed in a crisp white chef's coat with neatly combed salt and pepper hair, the man reminded Elon of a craftsman meticulously creating a masterpiece. On the other side of the room, a gentle-looking woman in a floral apron moved gracefully between the tables. Her warm smile, like sunlight in the night, brightened the narrow space. There were only three groups of diners in the restaurant: a young couple whispering in a corner, a man in a uniform savoring a bowl of ramen, and a small family animatedly chatting about something exciting. Elon chose a seat at the sushi counter where he could watch the elderly chef at work. "Good evening. What would you like to have?" the chef asked, his voice calm yet confident. Glancing at the handwritten menu on the wall, Elon softly requested the sashimi recommended by the chef. As he waited, he was struck by the serene atmosphere. The clinking of chopsticks, the soft sizzle from the kitchen, and the murmur of conversations blended into a symphony far removed from the tension of meetings and incessant phone calls. When the sashimi platter was placed before him, it was nothing short of a work of art. Slices of tuna, salmon, and yellowtail were arranged like a fan, accompanied by fresh shiso leaves and a mound of finely grated wasabi. The fish glistened under the soft lights, resembling precious jewels displayed with care. Elon picked up a slice of fish with his chopsticks. The delicate flavor and freshness melted in his mouth, instantly washing away his fatigue. He closed his eyes for a moment, savoring the experience. Each bite of sashimi seemed to tell a story of dedication and the chef's remarkable skill. As his gaze wandered around the room, he noticed the walls adorned with old photographs and handwritten notes from customers over the years. Some photos had faded with time, yet they still vividly captured couples holding hands, children smiling beside sushi platters, and heartfelt thank you messages. It gave Elon the feeling that this was more than just a restaurant. It was a treasure trove of memories and moments shared by countless lives. As Elon enjoyed his meal, he began to notice every little detail of the restaurant. His eyes observed the elderly chef, Mr. Hideo, whose practiced and precise movements resembled an artist painting a masterpiece with slices of fish. Mr. Hideo's hands, marked by the passage of time and years of hard work, maintained an astonishing steadiness. With just a knife, he transformed each piece of fish into a work of art. However, the fatigue on his face was unmistakable. On the other side of the restaurant, Mrs. Akiko continued to serve customers with her gentle smile. Elon noticed how she spoke with the guests, asking the small family about their day and remembering the names of the young couple sitting in the corner. Her care wasn't just the duty of a restaurant owner, it felt more like the affection of an old friend. Yet through her eyes, Elon sensed a hidden worry, perhaps about the restaurant's business or its uncertain future. The restaurant's decor was simple but meaningful. The wooden chairs were worn, their edges smoothed by time. The golden light above the sushi counter flickered occasionally, as if it too was battling age. The wall behind the counter was a treasure trove of memories adorned with photos and handwritten notes from customers over the years. Elon walked closer to the wall and read through some of the messages, many of which were heartfelt thank you notes to Mr. Hideo and Mrs. Akiko for creating a warm haven amidst life's busyness. Elon reflected on his experience so far. A long day of endless meetings and stress at Tesla had left him exhausted. Yet in just a few hours at Hashizora Sushi, he had found a sense of peace and a fresh perspective on life. He wondered what had kept this couple dedicated to their humble restaurant for decades. Surely it wasn't about profit, but rather a deep love for their craft, genuine appreciation for their customers, and a steadfast commitment to overcoming challenges. These thoughts led Elon to an unexpected decision. He looked around the restaurant once more, his gaze lingering on each customer's smiling face. Mr. Hideo remained focused on slicing fish with precision, while Mrs. Akiko served a warm cup of tea to the man enjoying his ramen. It was in that moment that Elon knew what he wanted to do next. An idea sparked in his mind, bringing with it a mix of excitement and curiosity. As the idea became clear in his mind, Elon decided to act. He slowly stood up, adjusted his chair, and walked toward the sushi counter where Mr. Hideo was still diligently working. Elon watched him for a moment before speaking. "The food here is incredible. Honestly, this is one of the most memorable dinners I've ever had." Mr. Hideo paused, looking up at Elon with a gentle, yet slightly surprised smile. "Thank you, sir. We always do our best." Elon nodded, his eyes once again scanning the restaurant. This time he noticed the small details he had observed earlier. The flickering lights that needed replacing, the worn counter with visible scratches, and the equipment that seemed to have been in use for many years. Turning back to Hideo, he asked, "How long have you been running this place?" Hideo's voice was thoughtful as he replied, "Over 35 years now. My wife and I opened this restaurant right after we got married. We've been through a lot here, but this place has always been home." He paused as if reflecting on the years before adding, "Our kids used to help out here, but they've grown up and have lives of their own now. It's just me and Akiko running everything." Elon listened in silence, sensing the pride and the challenges embedded in Hideo's words. Mrs. Akiko, overhearing the conversation, approached with a teapot in hand. She smiled warmly. "We never thought we'd become part of so many stories. Customers like that little family over there," she said, gesturing to a table near the window, "are what keep us going every day." Elon rested his hand on the counter, his voice softening. "I think the world needs places like this, where people can feel warmth and connection, and I'd like to help you keep it that way." To the surprise of both Hideo and Akiko, Elon continued, "I'll cover the cost of dinner for everyone here tonight. No need for any big announcements, just let them leave with a smile. And beyond that, I'd like to help upgrade some of the equipment in this restaurant, the lights, the kitchen, or anything else you need." Mrs. Akiko placed her hand on her chest, her eyes glistening with emotion. Mr. Hideo looked at Elon, momentarily at a loss for words before bowing deeply. "You truly don't have to do this, but we're grateful from the bottom of our hearts." Elon smiled, shaking his head gently. "This isn't just about helping you. It's my way of contributing to the values you've built here." As the diners in the restaurant began to realize their meals had been paid for, a wave of emotions spread throughout the space. Staying true to Elon's request, Mrs. Akiko kept things low-key. She gently told each customer, "Tonight, your meal is a gift from the restaurant as a token of gratitude, wishing you a warm and wonderful evening." The customers' reactions were diverse but deeply moving. The young couple in the corner beamed with bright smiles, thanking her repeatedly, sharing that this had become the most special date night they'd ever had. The man eating ramen nodded toward Mr. Hideo and Mrs. Akiko, his eyes glowing with unspoken joy, before stepping out the door with a noticeably lighter stride. The small family near the window was so touched that the mother couldn't hold back her tears. She hugged her little child tightly, whispering that today was their lucky day. Elon sat quietly at the counter, observing the various reactions without revealing his role. He realized how small gestures could create an unexpectedly profound ripple effect. The atmosphere in the restaurant grew even warmer, as if everyone was united in sharing a collective, invisible happiness. News of the special event at Hoshizora Sushi quickly spread on social media. One diner posted pictures of their meal and shared the story of the gifted dinner, along with a heartfelt thank you to the restaurant. I've never experienced something so heartwarming. A small place filled with such great humanity, the post read. Within hours, it garnered thousands of likes and shares. It wasn't just the customers who were moved. Neighbors in the area began stopping by the restaurant after hearing the story. An electrician volunteered to check and replace the restaurant's entire lighting system. A local farmer brought fresh ingredients as a small gesture of support for the business. Acts of kindness kept pouring in, creating an unforeseen ripple effect of goodwill. At first, Mr. Hideo and Mrs. Akiko were overwhelmed by the attention, but they soon realized this was the gift Elon had silently given them. What started as an ordinary evening had become a pivotal moment in the life of their small sushi restaurant. Day by day, both returning and new customers came, not just for the food, but to experience the warmth and inspiration of the story that had touched so many. Elon left the restaurant quietly, revealing nothing more about himself. On his drive home, he reflected on the night's events and smiled. Sometimes it only takes a small act of kindness to change the world around you in ways no one could ever anticipate. In the days following the story's spread, Hoshizora Sushi became a symbol, not just in Fremont, but across global social media. The restaurant's sudden fame left Mrs. Akiko and Mr. Hideo both delighted and slightly anxious. The small space could no longer accommodate the influx of new customers. Each evening, a line stretched down the sidewalk, as people waited for a chance to step into the warm, welcoming space they had heard so much about. Those who visited the restaurant weren't just drawn by the delicious food, they came for the moving story. Regulars shared how they felt as though they were walking into a familiar place, where everyone was treated like an old friend. Every photo taken with Mr. Hideo or Mrs. Akiko became a badge of honor on social media, proof that they had been part of an inspiring narrative. One morning, a group of journalists arrived at the restaurant, asking permission to conduct an interview. At first, Mr. Hideo was hesitant, but with encouragement from customers and Mrs. Akiko, he agreed. In the interview, he shared, "I never imagined that one dinner could change so much. It all started with one person's kindness, and now we want to pass that kindness on to others." His words quickly went viral, serving as a powerful reminder of the value of compassion. It wasn't just Hoshizora Sushi that benefited from the newfound attention. Other small, family-run restaurants in the area also saw an increase in customers. Many patrons shared that they had chosen to support local eateries instead of large chain restaurants, inspired by the story of Hoshizora Sushi. The kindness Elon Musk had sparked had grown beyond one small restaurant, becoming a movement. A week after things began to settle down, Elon unexpectedly received a handwritten letter from Hoshizora Sushi. In the letter, Mr. Hideo and Mrs. Akiko expressed their gratitude once again, including a photo of their restaurant with a newly updated sign, Hoshizora Sushi, a place where beautiful memories are kept. The letter ended with a heartfelt message. "You didn't just help us, you've inspired an entire community. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts." Elon finished reading the letter and smiled. He didn't reply, but found himself thinking about what else he could do in the future to create ripples of kindness in the world. The story of Elon Musk and the small sushi restaurant, Hoshizora, is more than just a tale of kindness. It's a powerful reminder of the transformative power of compassion. A simple act, like paying for a meal or upgrading equipment, created an unexpected ripple effect, changing not only the lives of Mr. Hideo and Mrs. Akiko, but also inspiring an entire community. We often think that making a difference requires grand gestures. Yet the truth is, small, genuine actions, done at the right time and in the right way, can touch the hearts of many. This story reminds us that kindness isn't a luxury. It's a choice we can make every day. What do you think about this story? Can we create a better world through small acts of kindness, just as Elon Musk did? Share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories or insights about how compassion can change lives. If you found this story meaningful, hit the like button to help spread its message. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next inspiring stories. Together, we can continue sharing and spreading positive values, making the world a better place one step at a time. Thank you for watching.